Chris, was it weird over an off week not being out on the road recruiting, taking advantage of that time, and how did you spend it otherwise?
Yeah, it's different. Obviously, I mean, that's normally the first thing is you're out on Sunday or, maybe in the middle of the week. And obviously with what's going on now, you don't have a chance to get out. So, it's definitely taking some getting used to. Um, in exchange, we're able to go through and see what we were doing up till now, kind of self-scout ourselves, which was good, some of the things that we got to do better and improve upon. So those things that give you more time that you normally would not have. Obviously, you'd be doing it from your hotel room, but you could do it from the office. So that part made it pretty good.
What are some of those things you notice in your self scouting, Chris?
There's some little things as far as some tendencies that we probably need to break. Early down on normal downs, some things on third down that we need to do a little different. So it's areas of the field. There's some things that we probably needed to add, to give ourselves a chance to throw the ball in the end zone a little bit more. So those are things that we want to try to build upon, and that we saw as some things to try to add to and correct.
Hey,
Chris,
Chris.
go ahead.
Well, Chris, it's Mike Davies from the Peterborough Examiner. I'm new to this group, guys, and I'm doing a story specific on Jared Wayne. And Chris, just want a couple comments from you about the progress that he's made as a sophomore and where he's come from as when he first arrived at the program.
Right. Nah, I think Jared's come a long way. He's had a couple hiccups this year with, I think he's had, a couple of deals where he's been out for a week at a time here and there, separate occasions. But right now he's running really well. I'm really happy with where he's at. I think he's going to be a really big time player. I think last year he showed glimpses of that. And this year he showed glimpses as well earlier before, some injuries popped up, but I think he's feeling healthy. This week off was really a good time for him. So, I'm expecting big things on this last month.
And if you don't mind, just two more questions on Jared. Just maybe a little bit about what you see as his strengths and also the things that as a young player he needs to work on.
Well, I think, he's got really good ball skills. He's got a big catch radius, so he's one of the bigger guys that we have. So we need to probably use that a little bit more than we have. But him getting healthy is a big part of that. So I think he's got some tools that I think he could be special. I mean, really special. And there's some things to work on as well. Some initial quickness at the line of scrimmage. Those things we want to try to improve, which, not having an off season kind of hurt that a little bit because it didn't give you a chance to work on them during the spring. But I think those are things that we can work on and improve upon.
And finally, I just, I'm asking this question a little bit out of ignorance because I really don't honestly know the answer to this question, and it's a little premature, I understand, but we've never had a kid from this area ever drafted to the NFL. Is that a possibility in Jared's future, or is that still to be determined?
I think a lot of stuff is still to be determined, but I do think he has pro potential. He's got, like I said, it's hard to find 6'3" guys that can run as smooth and effortlessly as he can. He's got natural ball skills. Obviously there's a lot to be, in the next couple of years to grow, but he definitely has potential. I've had guys that have made it that don't have as much ability as he does. So
appreciate everyone's indulgence.
Chris, Jordan was targeted quite a bit early in the Notre Dame game, and then he started seeing kind of a healthy dose of double teams that kind of took him out of the game a little bit, it seemed. How frustrating was that, for him? And when you go back and look at the tape with him, what was that like going over? And is it kind of good almost that he's this early in his career, he's already seeing that and kind of learning how to potentially fight through something?
I wouldn't say it's good. We want to get him the ball, but that being said, it's kind of expected, particularly when you're playing with the second string or backup quarterback. People know that you're going to lock on some reads maybe a little bit longer than you normally would. So they did a nice job of taking away the first read and making him go through his progression. That said, Jordan's not one of those types to get too frustrated. I don't know if he even knows any better right now, to be honest. He's so young in the process, but he's a patient kid. He came in and he was like, "Coach, I think they're doubling me." I said, "Yeah, I see it. We'll talk about it, in between the series." So, I think those are things he's going to get a lot more of that as he goes through in the next couple of years. So, But to get it this early from a team as good as they are, that's, flattering for him, at the same time.
I looked up his high school schedule from last year. He only played 9 games. You got 7 here with 4 to go. How do you feel like he's and obviously playing probably more than anyone really expected? How do you feel like he's holding up physically to the challenge of moving up a level and being such a big part of your offense too?
Yeah, no, that was a concern for me, in the last month really, was, to try to make sure we give him some breaks off. And we did that in the punt return game and the kick return game, because he was doing a nice job on those, but we're like, hey, if we can take some pounding off of him, somewhere we need to. So DJ's come and did a nice job of that. But that definitely was a concern of mine. This bye week was perfect timing for us, for him to get his legs back under him. We actually just had that conversation today, hoping that he's feeling a lot fresher, because you do hit a wall. I know that's like people talk about that, but that's a real thing for a young guy, because it's a long season. So, and he's not built physically without having the off season to build, the physical part of it. It can wear and tear. So, it's something definitely we're trying to take some off of him. But with this bye week, I think he's got a good foundation to finish strong.
We have one or two more. Jeff, I think you had a question.
Chris, I know it's practice, but what have you guys been able to do, excuse me, to work on that relationship with Joey and be able to get more on the same page with only a couple of games experience with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think every rep is a positive between Joey and all of our receivers, and Davis as well, and even Nick for that matter. But the more reps we get, and again, I hate to keep talking about, the way you don't have spring and all that kind of stuff, but obviously not having spring hurts some of the young guys, receiver wise, and it hurts some of the quarterbacks because they just don't get the repetitions that they normally would get. And when the games start, you don't have time to get those repetitions. So, with that said, the bye week, we're able to get fresh, run a little better, but also work on some of those timing throws to get on the same page, see some coverages so we can talk about it, as opposed to having to rush to the next rep or rush to the next, group period or whatever. You had a chance to talk about what we see, what he sees, and cleaning up some things. So that's been positive.
Jerry, final question.
Chris, I understand that not having Kenny Pickett is a big deal the last 2 games. What happened with DJ Turner? He was great in the NC State game, and he's sort of fallen off since then.
Yeah, we got to get him the ball. At the end of the day, that's something that we've got to make sure our playmakers touch it. I think obviously you have a backup quarterback in, you have to change some things as far as, how much you can put in and change some things around. So you lose some of those installs that you were trying to build towards getting him the ball a little bit more. But that's definitely something we've got to do a better job of, and myself included, making sure he gets some touches, because he does some special things with the ball in his hands. So, hopefully we can get that done better, or do a better job of getting that done here this week.